Learning to code is hard, so you want to make sure that you have the right guidance and the right technique when you're trying to learn the code. And it is especially true if you're planning to learn to code through self-learning. So in this video, I'm going to share with you some techniques which can help you be more efficient when you're trying to learn to code on your own. I myself learned to code while I was in school, and I was fortunate enough that I had some great teachers who helped me learn the code in almost the right way, though I made some mistakes, but overall it was very good. But over the course of years, I have seen many people who are trying to learn to code make some small mistakes which hinder their progress of learning a lot. So in this video, I wanted to share with you some tips which will help you learn coding much faster and in a much more efficient way. So tip number one is learn the essentials. Always do the Pareto principles of 80-20 analysis. Any programming language you're trying to learn will have so many commands and so many built-in functions, and it is very easy to get drowned in all those commands. But if you do the 80-20 analysis, that what are some of the commands which gets used most of the time, you'll be really surprised. You don't need to learn 150 commands to be a good beginner programmer. In fact, I can argue that for most programming languages, all you need is about 15 to 20 commands. Your for loops and your variable statements and your functions and your if-else statements. Once you have figured those out, you can write some very sophisticated programs. And as you start writing some programs, then you can gradually build your repository of more commands and more functions. But in the beginning, just start with the very basics. You can ask ChatGPT or any other AI tool or any other friend to give you a list of the 15 or 20 most frequently used commands in the programming language you are interested in learning, and just start by building the programs using those essential tools, and only learn more if there is a need to use that function. The second tip I'll give you is that try to learn by doing. It is very tempting, especially nowadays, to watch some YouTube video tutorials at a 2x speed and just go through it and try to give yourself an illusion that you are learning a lot while actually you are not. Programming is one of those things which I can guarantee you cannot learn without practice, especially if you are a beginner. So take your time, figure out what are the 15-20 commands you want to learn the basics of them, start building some programs. Even if you want to watch a YouTube video and follow along, try to see what they want to build and then try to build it yourself. And then go watch the solution. It will make much more sense, and it takes practice for your brain to be wired in a way that you can program. So do yourself a favor and minimize the amount of videos, watch time and book read time, and maximize the amount of time when you're hands-on the code itself. Third tip I'll give you is that of divide and conquer. Every experienced developer learns this probably at a later stage in their development career, but it is very handy tip to have in mind when you are starting. So what I mean by divide and conquer is that whatever program you're trying to build, first envision in your mind that what the overall structure of that program will look like, and then divide it into different pieces. It is a very good programming practice that you first just write the comments of, okay, what are the different components, what will they do. For example, if you want to write a program which for the calculator function, then you write, okay, I need a piece of program to do the addition, and then a piece of program to do the subtraction, and so on. And there are bonus points if you could write a function for each of the smaller component and later call it. That way your code will be much more neater, well organized and modular, and much easier to debug. But anyway, try to first figure out what are the different components which will be involved in it, and then start writing the comments for each of the sections. And then later, when you go in and try writing the code for each of the components, you will see that it will be much easier for you to write the code, and the code itself will be much more modularized. And if you use this approach in the interviews, the interviewer will definitely be very impressed. The fourth tip I'll share with you, and it is very important, is that you test your code after writing every 1 to 2 lines. Try to use a good debugger. There is debugging functionality in pretty much every IDE. If you are using programming languages like Python or JavaScript, there are online websites where you can just post the code and debug it. There is nothing which enhances your understanding of how the code is working than manually try to debug it and see that how the code runs and compiles line by line, how the variables are updated. So it is just enhancing your understandings just so much. So do yourself a favor. Whenever you're writing a code, try to debug it line by line and also compile it after writing every 1 to 2 lines. There is a tendency in most programmers that we want to just write the 50 lines of code and then try to run, and of course it doesn't work, and then we have to figure out where it fails. It is very important, especially if you're a beginner, just force on yourself this constraint that you have to run the code after adding every 1 to 2 line at max. And then you can see that how beautifully the code will started building up, and you can understand every piece and every component of it. And it is not only important for writing that particular program, it is very important for you to develop the intuition and understanding of how machine works, how machine reads every line of your code, and how it builds it. So keep this in mind. Next time you're writing the code, use a good debugger and compile and run your code after writing every 1 and 2 lines. The fifth and final tip which I'll share with you is that try to heavily use AI tools when you're trying to write the code. There is a lot of debate if programmers will not be needed in a couple of years and machines will be able to write code on its own. I don't think that will be the case, but I definitely think that people who are using AI and are keeping a good eye on what are the latest advancements in AI, especially when it comes to development, will not only be able to secure their jobs in the future when more advanced AI tools come in, but also it will make you much more efficient and it will help you with the learning of all that with the AI. So if you do not use AI, you are missing out a big piece of the latest advancement. So don't do that. And there are many AI tools which can help you while you're writing the program. There is GitHub Copilot. Try to learn it and see that how you can use it in the best possible way to make yourself more efficient while writing the code. And also try to use ChatGPT or Gemini or any other AI chatbot and try to get help from it in terms of understanding how existing code is working, debugging any potential errors in the code, or trying to get some feedback on, hey, this is the function I want to write, how can I write it? So it'll give you some starter code which you can use. So make it essential for yourself that whatever latest AI tools are coming in which can help you while writing the code, you know how to use them and you keep using them to make yourself more efficient, as well as to develop your expertise around those AI tools, so that later on when the scope of these AI tools increase, your scope increases with it too. So that's all for this video. I'm pretty sure if you incorporate these 5 learning strategies while learning to code, it will hopefully add a lot of efficiency to your learning regimen. And if you like this video, I created a separate video on the topic of how you can use ChatGPT to learn programming if you have zero experience before. And this is probably one of the most efficient and the fastest way to learn to code. So please check out this video. I'm pretty sure that if you follow along the instructions given in that, then you should be able to write your basic programs in a matter of weeks, not months. I hope you like it. Thank you so much for watching.